We have a segment on this show where we talk to our guests about their hometown. And today, Stuart Thompson joins us from, I don't even know how to explain it. It's Oakland, but it's kind of not Oakland.
Yep.
What is it?
I lived in a bunch of different parts of the Bay Area, Northern California. I was born in San Francisco, but when I was 10 through high school, I lived in a town called Piedmont, California. And Piedmont is, the way I would describe it is like, if you think of Oakland like a donut, Piedmont would be the whole if you moved it up a little bit.
Yeah.
So all these neighborhoods in the early 1900s eventually coalesced to become what is now Oakland, California. Mm-hmm. And Piedmont was one of those neighborhoods, and all these neighborhoods around Piedmont became part of Oakland. And Piedmont, for some reason, just said, nah, we're going to be our own thing. And it is kind of secluded because it's in the foothills of the Oakland Hills. And it over time became this, wealthy little, it is a city, but it's missing a lot of aspects of a city. Like there's no post office in Piedmont. You have to go to Oakland to find a legit post office. There's no grocery store really. There's a couple gas stations in the center of town where the schools are. And there's like a convenience store and like a couple banks, but it's mostly a residential community where a lot of people who've been quite successful in their white collar job live, and the property taxes are very high, so the schools are very well funded. So that's why we moved there.
Because I was reading up about it. The park, it's got this
Piedmont Park.
It's got Piedmont Park, which guy who founded the park planted shitloads of palm trees on the in the middle of it.
Yeah,
and the entire thing was sort of a private park for a while, and it now? It's now a city park, I guess.
Yeah, and anyone can hang in it.
Yeah, because for a while they were charging a fee to get in there. This is like the 1870s, 1880s,
like the world's shittiest amusement park.
Yeah, kind of, and.
The world of Lou Malnati's part two.
Trust me, this is an experience.
That's an experience.
But I want to talk about Jack London.
I mean, Jack London is a figure in Bay Area culture, but like Jack London Square is in Oakland, and the seam between Piedmont and Oakland is very strange because like the prominent boulevard that goes through Piedmont is called Oakland Avenue,
right?
And and one of the prominent roads that goes through Oakland is called Piedmont Avenue.
Yeah,
so it just makes no fucking sense.
yeah.
Some city planner was just angry and just said, "Fuck it, switch them."
They used the park as the meeting spot for something called the Ruskin Club, which was a group of dickheads who were fans of the very annoying English art critic and philosopher whose name is John Ruskin.
Oh, okay.
And John Ruskin, because the whole thing with Jack London is that he was like a diehard socialist that also believed in like racial hierarchy and rugged individualism.
Yeah.
So he's basically like just an asshole. With
Jack London believed in these things?
Oh yeah, Jack London. When Jack Johnson started winning,
when Jack Johnson wrote all those Hawaiian songs.
no, when
his eyes are as big as her bubbly toast.
Jack,
and that means she's a better person than other people.
Yeah. Jack London is the guy who coined the phrase "the Great White Hope," because Jack Johnson won the world title.
The boxer
won the title, and he said,
"Not always waiting for you."
Yeah. He was like, Jim Jeffries needs to get the fuck out of the alfalfa farm and beat this guy's
Another
ass.
Jim Jeffries.
Yeah.
Okay. These are all double name
famous
people.
Jim Jeffries.
Yeah, it's the Australian Jim Jeffries versus
Jack Johnson, the singer-songwriter.
Yeah. No, Jim Jeffries retired as the world champion to duck Jack Johnson because he didn't want to fight him. He didn't want to lose to him, so he retired.
I don't want to fight him.
Yeah.
I've got a show on FX I've got to be concerned about.
That was a big thing back then. They didn't want to fight because they knew they'd get their ass kicked, and they didn't want to do it because they'd get their ass kicked by a black guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that he was getting ducked hard.
Yeah.
Until he was the champion, and they could no longer duck him.
Yes. Yeah. Well, he and eventually Jack Johnson wins the titles, and they get Jim Jeffries to come out of retirement, and they box in Reno, and Jim Jeffries gets the shit beaten out of him, and you can see most of it on YouTube, which is great. It's old timey, grainy footage, but boy, it's great.
I'm excited to hear about that on his next special.
Yeah.
I didn't want to fight the black guy, but then they're like, "Oh, come on, Jim." You can do it.
Come out of retirement for one more. Come on.
But Ruskin is also the socialist philosopher, and I was trying to figure out, like, all right, what was his deal? And I'm like, oh, this is where Jack London got this shit, because he says, if there be any one point insisted upon throughout my works, that point is that there is an impossibility of equality. My continual aim has been to show the eternal superiority of some men to others, and sometimes even one man to all others, and to show the advisability of appointing such persons or person to guide, lead, or on occasion compel and subdue their inferiors, and according to their own better knowledge and wiser will. So again, socialist, except instead of workers of the world unite, it's like white people unite and everybody else kind of fall in line.
Yeah, the rest of y'all figure it out.
Yes, which eventually gives way to National Socialism.
Right.
Yeah, right. But anyway, this is what's happening at Piedmont Park. They're talking about this guy's shit.
I mean, I've never had a better reason to not be into civic pride. But I mean, it's interesting. I wonder how much of that is stuff that people in Piedmont actually know about, because it was definitely not discussed much in school.
Well, I was watching, they had a documentary about Piedmont Park, and they just blast past it. They're like, this is where the Ruskin Club included Jack London, and they start mentioning all these people, and I was like, fucking John Ruskin. And I went and looked. I was like, oh yeah, the only thing I knew about him going to this is that he had a complete mental breakdown. Ruskin during his last tour. He would do speaking tours of Europe, and he was an art critic. And the Impressionist Claude Monet scrambled his brain so fucking hard that he had a total come apart, because he would show up and talk.
I've succumbed to the lilies.
Yeah, straight up. He'd show up for an art talk, and all the students were like, yeah, this is bullshit though. We like the Impressionist. And he had a complete mental breakdown. But
can't handle a bridge over a pond.
Yeah. So while he was in Piedmont, Jack London wrote half of The Sea Wolf and all of Call of the Wild. So probably his biggest book was written there. And he had a friend group that they called themselves The Crowd, and they spent Sunday afternoons.
Garbage.
They spent
the Wolf Pack.
Yeah,
the Wolf Pack would be better.
That would be better.
Men of a certain age.
It would make The Hangover seem a lot more profound.
They spent Sunday afternoons picnicking, reading each other's latest compositions, gossiping about each other's infidelities, and frolicking beneath the cherry boughs in the hills of Piedmont. Yeah, straight up. You fucked my wife. I fucked her wife. What? But yeah, so he's hanging out with Ambrose Bierce and George Sterling up there. So that was the one thing I read about your hometown. Except the other thing, what's the deal with the bird calling contest?
Oh yeah, so my high school would do this bird calling contest every year.
So it is your high school?
Yes, Piedmont High School would do this bird calling contest where people would compete, and they would you do it in our big high school theater, the Allen Harvey Theater. At least that's what it was called when I was there. And at some point when they were doing the bird calling contest, David Letterman realized how much he loved it. And he would have the winners go on to Letterman and perform their bird calls.
Oh, yeah.
So if you won the bird calling contest, you got a Letterman credit. And that is my one regret.
I was going to say
comedy, because I started comedy when I went to college. And I never thought the bird calling contest was something that I wanted to do, but I could do impressions. So I conceivably figured one out. And I wonder, could I have gone into comedy out of the open mic level with a Letterman credit?
Yeah, definitely. I was gonna say, did this plant a seed maybe of so you had been doing comedy at this time?
I had not been doing comedy in high school. I just love being funny with my friends. In Spanish class, we'd have to write dialogues, and so we treated it like a sketch writing seminar essentially, and we'd create recurring characters, and we loved SNL and Conan. I had not quite bridged into Letterman appreciation at that time, but I was like, oh, this weird thing that people get to do, but these nincompoops would get onto Letterman.
Yeah.
And I was like,
these fucking amateurs.
I mean, they were nice people, sure, but it was just
they're nice guys. No, they're not funny or anything. They're nice.
They didn't have a tight five.
They didn't do the work.
I need y'all to hear one of these bird calls. This is from David Letterman's show in 2001.
Sarah Heilbronn, ladies and gentlemen, the Storm Petrel.
All of the Storm Petrel.
Mm-hmm.
That's
no,
nice.
no bird. They don't compare it with the actual call of the bird.
Yeah,
Right.
They should play
They
that.
just take this woman at her word.
That's
Yeah,
what
they're
I
just
was
like,
gonna-
look at this woman is willing to do on national television.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask is because, like, I watched a lot of footage of these bird callers, and some of these people you could tell are taking it very seriously, and then other people are, like, going for the laugh, where, like, they had one where it was two sisters, and they were kind of going back and forth, and then at some
some
point,
people get really physical.
she,
with
like,
it.
shook her, so, like, her voice warbled. you
Yeah.
know, but it was, like, clearly that was meant to be a bit, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think they would try to create like a sketch around it that would lead into the bird call when I was going to school, but like it was pretty ham-handed at best.
Okay.
And I think we would vote, but I don't know if we ever got like the actual sound of the bird. Like they would do research, and I guess they had some sort of bank of bird sounds. Maybe that was like in a glass case in the library or something like that. But yeah, they would do that at my high school, and I do. Cool. I don't have any regrets in comedy, but I do regret not doing that to try to get on Letterman.
Okay, here's my question: can we find that bird call online right now?
The Storm Petrel?
Yeah, I want to see if she got it right.
I think it's like the thing though with like people who want to be on reality TV and stuff like that too. It's like if they pick up a semblance of like you want to be an actor or something, then I think they're like a little less like reticent to put you on. Like if they want people who are like, no, we want you to do your bird call.
Yeah.
And like without any sort of like
just be your unhinged self.
Ulterior motives.
Oh, yeah. This is the real deal.
Nothing like it.
I was gonna say,
nothing like it.
Not
at
even
all.
pretty good.
remotely close.
It doesn't.
No, not at all.
It doesn't have the car alarm part where it's just going.
Yeah, she's like, you know, when somebody's just
like
doing
the internet dial-up part. Where
she's like doing an impression of someone doing an impression of a bird.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd never heard a bird that went, "Aruga."
I never heard a bird do the Wilhelm scream.
Well, yeah. Let's get into these questions for you, Stuart Thompson. First question about your hometown: what was the incident?
Well, I'm sure there were many incidents that happened in Piedmont, but the incident that affected people my age was Piedmont's a very small town. It's like maybe 11,000 people, and about half of those people are like the elderly retirees. So the other half are people with families that are trying to put their kids through this well-funded school. And the middle school and the high school are right next to each other in the center of town. And the high school had a history of having off-campus lunch because it was kind of felt like a Leave It to Beaver town. So you could, there weren't a lot of places to go, and most people didn't have a car, and the lunch was so short, it'd be hard to go off campus really and go far.
Right, because the town doesn't have a grocery store and all that shit.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could go to the what was then called Bonfair Market, and they had assorted candies and maybe a sandwich, but but the middle school when I was in 6th grade also had off-campus lunch. Which right, which meant as an 11-year-old, you could just leave at lunch and hopefully come back for the next class.
Where could you walk to?
I don't know. I mean, like it's the woods. It's a hilly town. Yeah. So, like, I had a friend whose family home was within walking distance of school to the point where you could conceivably walk to his house, have lunch, and come back. But off-campus lunch was quickly canceled while I was in 6th grade because some 7th graders got caught in Piedmont Park smoking pot.
Oh, shit.
I was going to say, that's just perfect time to get addicted to cigarettes or something for a young kid.
Yeah, I mean, there were so many people at my school who smoked pot, and like underage drinking was such a huge issue because like my school was super competitive academically. Like the schools kind of pride themselves, the high school prides itself on having
bird calls,
not just bird calls, but like a 98% matriculation rate. And everyone who goes to college is going to a college that you've heard of.
Right.
And so everyone is feeling just this deep-seated, unreasonable level of stress, which I've only really come to understand in the last 5 to 7 years.
Sure.
And then when I talk to people that I went to school with, it's like, hey, were we going through a real meat grinder? And they're like, yeah. There's some real PTSD that people are experiencing.
And unpacking it in therapy in their 30s and stuff.
Pretty much. Yeah. And so...
Did you have the thing where you got to college and you were like, this is fucking it?
You mean like high school was way too crazy?
'Cause that happened
and
at, like-
college was a big let off.
Yeah, I mean, I went to like a state school or whatever, but when I got there, that was my first thought was there was like kids who'd never written an essay, just like basic shit where I was like, wait, so I kind of, with the exception of like math, which I'm terrible at,
Right.
I got to just kind of chill through all the core stuff the first couple of years because my high school was so fucking hard.
I wouldn't be surprised if some people that I went to high school with had that experience at their college, but I went to UC Berkeley where everyone's a valedictorian.
Sure, yeah.
So like that place kicked my ass.
Yeah, I bet.
And no one cared about you struggling. You had to figure it out because there's 26,000 undergrads and there's thousands more waiting for someone to drop out to fill that spot.
Yeah.
So no one really cared that anyone was struggling. It's like, hey, this is the big pool.
Yeah.
Learn how to swim.
That's what happened to Ted Kaczynski.
Right.
Cracked at UC Berkeley.
Yeah.
Berkeley broke him.
Fellow dearly beloved alum.
Yeah. Go Bruins, baby. Go Bruins.
That's UCLA. It's go Bears.
Oh, Bears, whatever. I don't know from sports. I just know from Unabomb.
Yeah. We
Real sports.
Me no Unabomb.
I mean, no Unabomb.
Me like mountain.
At Cal, our when we would play UCLA, our chant was "What's a Bruin anyway? Small dickless bear." Yeah, it wasn't rooted in much logic, but it was. But anyway, so yeah, that was the big incident. Was that from my recollection and my experience of Piedmont was, oh my God, kids are smoking pot.
Right.
Let's cancel middle school off-campus lunch.
So unfair.
In retrospect, it's like ludicrous that anyone thought that it was a good idea.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
In my high school, they had an assembly because it used to be people to just do whatever they wanted during lunch, but they had to be on campus. So a lot of kids just like hung out in the courtyard or whatever. And they had to have an assembly. And basically they were saying you can either go to the library or you can go to the cafeteria. You cannot hang out in between.
Can't just loiter. Yeah.
Right. Which it's like, yo, this is a dictatorship. You could just say that. But the senior advisor who said it started the speech off by being like, well, guys, look, in this post 9/11 world, and then announced that you couldn't hang out in the courtyard anymore. And I was like, okay, yeah, I don't know.
Pretty sure Al Qaeda is not targeting Alabama high schools.
No.
Oh, mine thought that too.
Yeah. Question 2. Local legend.
Local legends. I mean, there's two really big notable alums of Piedmont, or people who went to Piedmont High. One was John McNamara, who was Secretary of State under President Kennedy.
Fog of War. Yeah.
Yeah, and also a Cal grad.
Yeah,
and
Robert McNamara.
Robert McNamara, excuse me. Sorry. Shows how much I researched that. McNamara.
Hey, I'm just an Errol Morris head.
So and Clint Eastwood went to my high school for a year.
I'm sorry, what? Really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Damn.
So you could argue the other incident that happened at my school was Clint Eastwood drove a motorcycle through our breezeway
Wait, when he was in school or
when
just
he was in school.
Not like when he was filming Bridges of Madison County.
It'd be so much funnier now.
Yeah.
Suck it, high school.
Yeah, he did it just to celebrate the end of filming Gran Torino.
Where's an empty chair?
Yeah.
Where are all the white people here?
Yeah, there are too many Asian people for that to be okay now.
Yeah. God damn. Question 3. Worst bar. You might have said this already because there's no damn bars, are there?
Yeah, there's no bar in the city limits of Piedmont, but the big hangout for a lot of people that I went to school with after graduating there's 2 bars on Piedmont Avenue, which, like I said, is in Oakland. One of them was called King's Cross, and now it's called the Kona Club, and the other one is called Cato's Ale House. And I've never actually been to the Kona Club because I know that's where everyone I went to high school with that I don't need to see
They're all there
will
every day.
go when I'm back for holidays.
For sure.
And it's like it's just there's and I remember I went with a high school classmate. She wanted to go to Cato's, and I said, why do you want to go to Cato's? Like, well, some of our friends from high school are there. I'm like, yeah, but why are we going? It's like, you really want to see these people.
Yeah.
And it's fine. It's like, I mean, the people that I want to see, I actively seek out.
Sure.
But like most of the people that are willing to go to those places are the places that I don't want to go.
Does Kona...
It's a lot of explanations. Like, you make money doing that?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I did not go to my, like, I guess the 15-year college or high school graduation. I would have that just passed for me. But I mean, I
haven't been to any of them.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't want to explain what I'm doing until I have something that's very tangible. I mean, I suppose I could say like, hey, I have a special on YouTube, and people understand that now.
Yeah.
But
You want to go big dick 'em?
I want a DVD copy.
Oh, what am I doing? You've probably seen it on a Hulu.
Right. No, I mean, it's like I just don't feel like explaining myself to, like, if people want to know about what I'm doing, they can hear about me on podcasts like this Fine One, or they can reach out to me directly. I don't need to go to a high school reunion where someone like rented a Corvette to like look nice.
Well, can you go to like promote this podcast? Maybe.
Yeah. I plan on doing that at the 30th.
Yeah.
And just hearing about people's kids,
Hey guys,
about their work.
I don't want to talk.
My baby
to you.
is goods from the woods.
It's a
Here's a
baby.
sticker. Here's a sticker. Here's your
Yeah.
sticker.
Baby goods.
If you want to know what's going on with me, look me up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
walk away.
IMDb.
Yeah. We'll see where we are at the 20th.
Okay. Question number 4. Best local food.
Best local food. I mean, the Bay Area is run by restaurants.
Sure.
Anything you want to eat, you can find it there in some
Yeah.
way, shape, or form. And it's from Burmese food to Italian food to, West African and Ethiopian cuisine. You can find like there's even good barbecue in the Bay Area. And so, I mean, one of the places that I've enjoyed that I think you guys might dig is a place called Everett and Jones. It's incredible barbecue. There's one in Jack London Square.
Oh, shit.
There's
All
also
right.
one on MacArthur, which is another big
What's the
street in Oakland.
What's the chicken and waffles place in Jack London Square? I've been there before. That place was dope.
Is it something different from Roscoe's, or is it?
No, it's some other chicken and waffle. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't know.
If you knew right off.
Yeah, I mean, like there's incredible food no matter where you go. That's what the Bay Area kind of prides itself on, because it's sometimes it's performatively inclusive, but in reality it is inclusive in a lot of ways. So many different marginalized peoples have come to San Francisco to make it big, from the gold rush to now.
Right.
So, I mean, some of the best Indian food you can have, Thai food, and I mean, I love it.
And other Asian food.
Yeah, hell
I mean, all kinds of wonderful food. So, I mean, a list of 3 to 5 places that I can think of are Everett and Jones Barbecue, Kanapina, which is an incredible Indian place. Burma Superstar is a great Burmese food place. They have a location in Oakland and one in the Richmond district in San Francisco.
I got to check out Burmese food.
It's incredible, man. It's a little more herby than like what we might expect with like Chinese food or Thai food. But just really. It's not something that I knew much about, but my girlfriend used to live in San Francisco, and she turned me on to it, and it's really tremendous stuff.
There's one near here.
The Burmese spot?
Yeah, I want to check that place out. There's one in Silver Lake, right?
I mean, it's like very close to here.
Oh, wonderful.
Like around the damn corner.
The hot pot place?
Us, but
The hot pot place?
no, it's like a newer restaurant.
Oh,
Okay.
It's Burmese, straight up Burmese food.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it might be worth checking out. I think that I just don't know. There might not be as big a Burmese population here in Southern California as there is in the Bay Area, but yeah, you really can't go wrong there. And North Beach is one of the best places to get Italian food on the West Coast.
Stinking Rose, man.
Yeah, Stinkin' Rose. There's like the big name spots. I mean, where the Purple Onion was, which is a historic comedy location where Zach Galifianakis did his special there, and this place where Richard Pryor would perform, and Phyllis Diller had a long-running show there. That was under an Italian restaurant called Cafe Macaroni. But all along Columbus Avenue, there's incredible food to enjoy. And the Mission District is incredible for Mexican food.
Yeah.
for sure.
Hell yeah. Question 5. Local ghosts or monsters?
I was struggling to figure out what the local ghost or monster story was, but I did like a cursory amount of research, and there is a huge hotel in Oakland just over the hill from Piedmont on your way into the UC Berkeley campus called the Claremont Hotel.
Yeah. So I lived in Berkeley really briefly.
Oh, really? Okay.
On Bienvenue, very close to the Claremont Hotel. Yeah.
So the Claremont Hotel is this big white hotel. I mean, it kind of, from a distance, it kind of looks like the hotel from The Shining.
Yes, a little bit. It's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, and it's where like my college's football team would stay before games, and I learned that many years ago it burnt down, and people even though they've completely redone the building and it looks, spotless now, people can still smell that burning smell in their rooms, even when no fire's happening. And they say that, some of the attributions to that smell being permeated is, a haunting from the ghost of the 6-year-old girl who died in that fire. And she stayed in room 422. And so the 4th floor of that hotel is considered like the haunted floor.
Ooh, we gotta go.
Hell yeah. Hey, I walked by it a lot because I used to walk before. I didn't have a job at the time, so I had nothing but time to walk down to the campus and stuff like that. Walked past that many times before I decided to move to LA instead of make an attempt to live in the East Bay. Last question here. Favorite thing that's not there anymore?
Piedmont is one of those towns that really doesn't change a whole lot.
Yeah, the Jack London's house is still there.
Yeah, I mean, like people kind of like things a certain way, and I mean, I have a lot of gripes with like how the city of Piedmont is run and the attitudes that are born from a secluded town like that. You could call it like a wealthy ghetto, essentially, where people just kind of like seclude themselves in their money and live in fear.
Yeah.
I mean, there was one dude, this is not like something I like missed that wasn't there, but this was a weird thing that happened that I think was a step in the right direction, but was not received very well, was this guy who lived around the corner from where my parents live. This made, I think, this either the Chronicle or New York Times, something like that. He had like this huge house and he had a guest house, and he met this homeless couple. And he said, "Hey, do you want to stay in my guest house? Like, you guys look like you need some help. I have the ability to help. Why don't you stay in my guest house?" And like,
that's going to cause an issue.
Yeah, I mean, for a while it worked.
The fucking bee goat guys just rolling up on your shit.
For a while, it was like kind of working. Like they seemed to have some cohesion. I didn't really have much insight as to like how they got along,
right?
Because the sort of unhoused situation is like so complex, and I don't claim to have any answers about it, but there's a lot of people struggling with mental illness and addiction, and those are things that are hard for any one person to solve.
Yeah.
And it requires a willingness to make changes, and some people just get kind of used to living that way, and I don't and some people just want to live off the grid.
Well, and a lot of times the systems that are in place to kind of help people out are almost carceral in nature, where they don't let you bring your shit inside. They don't let you have a dog. They don't let you, whatever it is.
Yeah, it makes it hard for people to make those adjustments to not living outside. And so I don't know how they got along, but his neighbors flipped the fuck out when they learned about what this thing that he was doing that seemed pretty decent,
pretty altruistic.
Seems great. Yeah.
So I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say, I mean, the people that what I miss from Piedmont is really just people.
Yeah, sure.
The people that I grew up with that I don't get to see that often.
Yeah, for sure.
Are what I miss the most.
Unless they're at Cato's Ale House.
Right. If they decide going to Cato's or the Kona Club is a good idea, then they are written off. Out of the will.
Out of the will.
Yeah. Very generous. I put my friends in my will.
That's very generous.
You don't leave them a lot, but they're
they get a piece of the pie for sure.
2 jelly beans.
Yeah, 2 jelly beans
right.
and a quarter cup of limeade.
Hell yeah. Well, that is a tour of Stuart Thompson's Piedmont, California.